Hi, I'm Janika Ruuska, Neuroscience Master student at the University of Helsinki. In the episodes of Future Neuroscientist, I'm sharing my study journey. If you are new in this channel, remember to subscribe the channel. In today's episode, I'm gonna share what I would do differently if I would start my studies over again. So I'm gonna share you some really valuable study tips. Welcome to today's episode. So maybe you are in the point when you are applying to do your master's and you are thinking what I should study. If you picked a topic which is not later on your exact interest, but it's somehow related or close by, it doesn't matter what you are studying because you can always choose places to work which will lead you to the direction you want. But still, I would spend some time to think what you would like to study. It sounds obvious, but sometimes we are just doing things and trying to go forward with full speed. So it's really, really important to stop and think what I really want to study, what I'm interested in. And yes, even though I said that it doesn't matter so much, but the reason why I would recommend you to think what you would like to study is that when you are studying, you are able to use your time to learn things you are interested in. So for example, in my case, I was sure that I want to study neuroscience. So this almost now 2 years has been really, really valuable time for me to actually learn about the field. So yes, even though I would study something else related to topic, and then go later on to some research group, of course I could catch up all the information and you will learn more when you are working. But I'm really thankful that I have had time to actually explore the field and learn really important things. The next thing, now you have chosen your field you want to study. Maybe you have already got the place to study, but the studies haven't started yet. Like in here in Finland, you get the study place late spring before summer. And then you have the whole summer before the studies will start. And how I would recommend to use that time. Of course, studying is hard, so you also can enjoy your free time if you have it. But in my case, I wish I would start studying things on my own. So if you would start to study neuroscience before studies, I would recommend you to go through following topics, even though you would have already knowledge about those, but at least refresh your mind. First of all, genetics. Go through basics of genetics. I would say this is really valuable to go through again. In any field, there is biology. What comes to neuroscience, it's really useful to go through all those brain areas. At this point, you don't need to know any details. You don't need to study everything because you will get familiar with those later on when you are actually studying the topic. But I would recommend you to go through the brain areas, learn the names, especially if you are using some other language than English. If you have maybe longer time when you have studied previously, or your field hasn't maybe focused too much like the basic biology, for example, of the cells, I would recommend to go through all that information. So maybe starting with cell biology, that's really useful when you start your studies. And I can't say this enough, but electrophysics. I know it's not the favorite topic of each of you, but when you are gonna study neuroscience, in this case, you will face it. You need to learn it. So if you have motivation to start before you're gonna start your studies, go through some basics. So as a summary, before you start your studies, first of all, pick your field, which field you want to study. Then when you have picked it, recognize what kind of information you might be lacking, or then if you have just a long time from your previous studies, even though you have the knowledge, but refresh your mind with those. And what comes to neuroscience, I would say genetics, brain areas, basic biology of the cell, and if you have motivation, electrophysics. So now we can move forward. What to do while you are studying. So what I would do differently if I would start my studies over again. So even though I mentioned that it's really useful to study things before you start your studies, when you start your studies, trust you will learn the things. Trust that you will repeat the things so many times they will stuck in your head. Because I remember that the information load was a huge, and I was a little bit stressed that am I gonna remember all of this? And after many months I realized that okay, we are repeating the same things in different contexts, and you will learn what are the things related to. So trust that you will learn and repeat. When I think about the beginning of my studies, what I wish I would do, I love Excel sheets, so I will recommend you to do these from different things. So first of all, do one Excel sheet about the methods you are hearing. So different study methods. So put the method to your table and then write for what it is for, what you can study with that method. So that is really easy one. Another one, what I would do, another Excel sheet, is to collect topics you are interested in. And how you recognize this? Because first of all, I think people who are gonna study a new topic, they are interested in about everything. But after a while, I bet you will concentrate some topics more than the other. So collect these topics which takes your attention to the Excel sheet. For example, in my case, I started to actually do that. So this I wouldn't do differently. This I would just repeat. So I collected, for example, different diseases, different brain areas, different receptors, different molecules, which took my attention. I also started to collect questions which came to my mind. And for a long time, I felt like this is not gonna lead me anywhere because I'm interested in about everything. But at some point, I recognized the pattern that, okay, these are actually really related. And I became more aware what I'm actually interested in. One thing what I always recommend you to do is upload all the possible files you get from the courses, so PDF files, lecture slides, and name them correctly. In my case, I have the folder for neuroscience, then I have the name of the courses, different folders for each of them. And then when I open that course file, there I have the lecture slides. I started to do this at some point, and I have the first courses. I don't have any lecture slides left. So now I'm just like, no, I remember there was something really valuable information, but now I can find it anywhere. So please, if possible, upload the lecture slides and name them correctly. While being in the lecture, be interactive. Because just listening the lecture, your attention might go somewhere else, or it's just a talk you will hear. It's harder to remember. But when you make questions, no matter how stupid those are, no stupid questions exist, but anyways, when you ask those, you are involved to that teaching and you will remember better. So interactive studying is always better. One thing what I hated when we started our studies were that we were doing learning diaries. Because I have studied a lot of remotely, so we needed to prove that we have been in the lecture, so we actually wrote learning diaries in addition to everything else, which was huge amount of work. So basically, I reflected what I learned and then there were some questions we answered. But gotta say, now when I go through those, my learning diaries, I really easily catch up what are the main points that I have learned. So maybe I wouldn't do that long learning diaries, what we did when we started our studies, but I would really put maybe the 3 main points what I have learned from the lecture. Because when, for example, when reading for an exam, it's way more easier to just go through those. And if you notice that, okay, yeah, this was what I learned, but now I can remember exact details, so I can just go back to the slides. So I don't need to read everything all over again. So I would do kind of small learning diaries. One thing what I would also recommend is that contact professors if you have something. Ask the questions and also talk openly about your own interests. You can talk with the professors and teachers and so on about, hey, I'm interested in about this topic and this is kind of related, and just like brainstorming the ideas, because they usually know someone who is studying that or what courses you could take to support your interests. Like in my case, I was in one research group doing my internship, so it was focusing to the anxiety disorders, and that was really valuable experience and I learned a lot. But what I did, I also talked with the supervisor that what other topics I'm really interested in. And what happened, my supervisor found this one research group who are doing the research about the topics I'm interested in. I applied there and I'm gonna do my thesis there. So I would recommend to take all the ideas from the people who have already gone through this. They have been there, so they have the knowledge. They know people, they know the field, so take that help. And kind of related to this, that you are interacting with professors, interacting with the people who are in the field, that is really important to connect with people. I know like in our case, where most of the studies have been remotely, it's way more harder, but we have had some kind of events. So if there are any events, go for those. Talk with people. You don't always need to talk. Of course, those events are quite often related to science, and people are of course sharing their interest and what they are doing, and quite often people are really passionate about those, and it's more than okay to talk about those, but also you are getting to know each other. So I would recommend also to share something more. What are you interested in about your life? Maybe exercise or something like hobbies, because there might be someone else who is doing the same thing. You might end up to do those things together and you might end up to know more people. So make more and more connections, because you never know whose help you will need or you can offer for someone else. Oh, maybe one thing about the courses. If you are interested in about neuroscience, I would recommend, I'm not saying, can I say that I would recommend, because I know some courses which are really useful, but I also know that if you are not interested in those at all, don't go for it. But then if you have even tiny little amount of interest about the following courses I'm gonna mention, I would recommend to take those. So any course which is related to statistics, bioinformatics, some programming, if you have a little bit interest about those, I would take the courses. That is really valuable information for your career. I think I got all what I wanted to say. So yes, before studies, pick your field. You are not in a rush. Before you start your studies, study it a little bit if you have time. It will make your studying easier. While you are studying, trust you will learn things, because you will repeat things. Collect information to some kind of sheets, Excel sheets, topics you are interested in, the methods you could use, and so on. Also upload the files if possible from the lectures, and remember to name those. It's easier to find. Be interactive in the lectures, go to events, meet people, make connections, and take the courses you have maybe noticed that in your field they are really useful. Oh, one more thing, learn to write. That's my final tip. Do a lot of writing because you will need that skill. Yeah, this is what I would do if I would start my studies all over again. But how it's actually going at the moment, in my case, is that I have kind of way completed all my courses. I still have few lectures left, but in a way, I'm done with my courses. And the next step is to start my master's thesis. I'm going to do my master's thesis in different country. First of all, we don't have the research here, what I would like to do. And the lab where I'm going, it's really interesting. I will talk about it later. I have also studied previously in different countries. So in my bachelor's, I traveled to Hong Kong and I was there for half a year, and that was really valuable experience. So of course, this experience will be valuable in addition to the topic what I'm really interested in. So I think that will be a huge part, well, obviously, to do my master's thesis, and I'm gonna share all the tips and experiences what will come when I'm gonna do it. So stay tuned, and I promise I will tell you soon which country I'm going. See you on next time. Bye.